Hello, Shalom, Salam Alaikum. Today we are going to be playing this game again. Its name is Capnosis. Okay, there's circular lights on the roof. It transitions strangely into wallpaper, back to painted wall. You can tell by the real rough surface here. I've never been here, by the way. Hold on. There are strange, call this sections on the wall. This strange section transitions into this more faded out, um, dented or embroidered mural here. It also has this little wooden section on the lower floor, which is protruding outward a bit. I love that detail. Let's open the door now. What? Okay. There are four chairs. It's like a storage room of some sort. And of course, there's the bland white paint on the walls. Oh, okay. This is new. The walls are they're white. It's just the tint, I believe, from the fluorescent lights. But they are white, I believe. Yeah. Now hold up. I think my mic is echoing. Let me. Yeah, my mic is echoing. Uh, 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 okay. Let me see if I fixed it, but let's see if my mic is not echoing like before. Let me see if I fixed it. Okay, there we go. We're back in business. But the walls here are white. They're not yellow, they're actually white. It's just the tinting of the light. I can't grab these chairs, they're solid. There's an exit sign. Of course, that could just be a facade or it could be just fake. It could be misleading. Okay, the lights here are white. They have no filter of some sort. Okay. The room now transitions into this beige embroidered wallpaper design, and we can hear that fluorescent lights humming. There's some green glow there, and there's also a strange exposed part of the wall. It's concrete. I love how I can see the little circular indents of each. Okay, I thought that was someone. But I love how I can see each indent representing each circular fluorescent light fixture. They're cylindrical, and this part of the room has lights with a more greenish filter. Of course, these lights here would not actually be this bright. Huh. There's a strange wallpaper pattern. It's more stripish. I've never been here. There's always a new part of it, but we're seeing a lot of green parts here. Let's walk into this plank floor design here. It's okay. The theme of wood here is kind of prominent. I love how this game does not just place random rooms. It's like as if each unknown segment of the part of the backrooms here has a theme. And this part here gives off a more combination of old vintage style office layouts with a more modern layout, judging by the wooden planked floor here, along with the very old beige wallpaper design, which is, what do you call this, tainted with a the vintage glow of these light fixtures. Yes, it's just the light fixtures tinting everything a bit more yellowish. And the carpet is, I believe, actually gray. It looks like it's a bit yellow, but it's actually gray. It's just the lights. Yeah, let's continue exploring. And there's some more of that exposed concrete. And there's a pillar. That's music. But this pillar here is kinda rotated. And there's also there's green corridors here. Is that the same place we gone to before? Hold up. Okay. I think we've been here before. Okay, the humming is gone. I remember this area. We've been here before. You know, that's one little problem here. It's that we always come back to places we already discovered. Well, it's kind of hard to fix that, though. And there's the music. Is the music louder? I don't know, but yeah. You know what? Let's give this floor a chance. Let's explore it a bit more. You know what? Oh wait. I feel like I want to play some KSB here in this stream. But of course I'm gonna have to rename this stream. We are back here. Sorry, I'm kind of sick. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely back here. Hopefully there's more into this corridor here. And nah, it's just an empty room of columns. I loved IFT 13 today. The fight was absolutely spot on. That's the same. I believe that's the same corridor, closet, like designish thing we saw before. And also don't worry, I can see the comments, so I can respond. But I did set the latency to normal, so expect some sort of delay. We're back here. I don't know if Ship 40 is still floating in the ocean. If you may notice that I have streamed earlier today. I already got there. Yeah, I did stream earlier today, but um, you may have noticed that ship 14 from IFT 13 survived splashdown. I don't know if it's still floating because SpaceX might have already shot it. Yeah, usually they shoot. They did that same thing with Booster 13, I believe. Booster 13's liquid oxygen tank did not sink. That's blue walls, but they had to use a gun, I believe. That's the tamest way of putting down your starship, I guess. But I'm very proud of Ship 40. Booster 20 did not perform a successful landing burn, but it did well. Okay, we're in this big corridor. Yeah, that's the clock we have visited some time ago, I believe. Oh. I didn't see this before. There's I can't pick them both up, but okay, that's air ventilation. I always see these arches here. Of course, whoa. Okay, this is new. Let's investigate every door here. If I can open them. That one's locked, I believe. Locked. Yep. That one. Nope. They're all locked. But it's fine. It's nice to have a new section of the bathrooms here. Of course, the top part of the roof here is just wallpaper. It's not cladding. Huh. But I do believe that the what do you call this? Although the backrooms do also copy the Kane Pixel's backrooms copies environments around them. Right. There's a weird indent here. Discrepancy of some sort. I do believe that the backrooms in some way has some sort of increase or increment of how it copies things. Maybe when Ivan Beck first, we should go back. We already explored that part, but maybe when the backrooms first was brought into existence, maybe since it was related to some sort of, I don't know what Ivan Beck was doing, some kind of doohickey machine of some sort. I forgot. It could be some sort of particle acceleration or something like that. But if it is related to magnetism, like the KV-31 project, maybe the backrooms could probably copies mainly memories, Of course, it also does copy things around it, but there is some sort of conflict between whether or not it copies things around it or copies memories, because since it's related to magnetism, perhaps it collects the maybe electric data stored in your brain. I do not know how we store memories, but I think it's like an solid state, solid disk, solid state. It's like something like solid state drive or something. SSD. I think that's the acronym for it. I forgot, but we're back here. I didn't pay any attention to that while though, so didn't think of looking up though. That's like a fungus, I think. I don't know if the roof above needs that much wiring. Um, yeah, but the backrooms could probably only copy our memory, and there is a conflict to that. The backrooms accurately copies light fixtures, roof and tiling, etc. like that. So I'm also inclined to believe that the backrooms copies things like the environment around it, but I do not know how it does so. It could work like, what do you call this? Nice, we're back here. It could work something like, okay, let's go back here. You know what? Let's explore this part. But the backrooms, since it's related to magnetism, it could be somehow. It could be a dimension which scans things like a MRI machine. Something like that. You hear that? Yep. This is like a hotel. And that hotel has a pool room in it. Anyways. The back rooms. It could just be a dimension. A huge MRI machine or something like that. That's outlandish. It's like a scanner of some sort. And we're back here. And we can't go back up there. Anyways, that thing scares me. Okay, I don't know if we've gone here before. Yeah, I think we did. But, yeah, we've been here. But, I recognize that music. Yeah, let's go back. But let me think let me think. Um hmm. Although the bathrooms could be just a huge MRI machine, how does it open null zones? Does it choose to open it? Um. Uh. Hmm. Hmm. Uh. I don't know. If the backrooms is sentient. Oh, we're now in the lower part of whatever this is. But I don't know. Like the entire backrooms becoming like the backrooms being a memory machine is weird because why didn't it recreate Earth already? That there's a big that's one big problem. Why is the water here so high up? It calls yeah high up. Um, have you been here? Let's push these doors. Yeah, you've been here. Sure, I'll leave that door open just in case if I need to run. But there's a problem with that theory. Like, why didn't it recreate everything accurately? Why does it do it? That's the big problem. Why does the backrooms copy things? I know it could be a big MRI machine, but why would it be a big MRI machine? It could be anything else, in fact. Mm-hmm. Nice. There's a lot of confusing things in the backrooms. And everything could not just be simplified to one big MRI machine. Because the backrooms, why does it do that? Why does it copy things? It's not as simple as AI generating things. I mean, if it has more deep. What the hell? Oh. Oh, this is a restricted area, supposedly. It's so loud here. Okay, this is like a water park of some sorts. An indoor water park. It looks like it is nearly accurately recreated here. We can. There we go. Why is it so loud here? It's so windy in here. It could be the air ventilation. And it's so humid. Everything here is so humid. There's a lot of fog around here. Let me push that. Share a tad bit. Closing soon. Yeah, there's no one here. That's Okay, let's get out here. It's very loud. Okay, this is very interesting. We could be near the mall section, but we might be in the mall section. Anyways, the theory of the backrooms being a MRI machine has a lot of contradictions. It cannot be that simple. Is this the same mall section? Doesn't look like it. Does look like a mall though. Oh my gosh. There's a tree above us. But there are theories on what the bacteria could be. I don't know why people are saying it could be Captain Clark, although it could be a remembered version of Captain Clark, but the lower section here is just a copy of the... Is it the copy of the upper section here? Yeah, it looks like it, but smaller. But I believe that the there's like a water park, like assets from a water park put into a receptionist room in a mall or something like that. Can't go up here. Okay. That's very unsettling. Just gonna close the door here just in case. But this is a mall, but that's not the same mall. This is a different mall. Can I break the glass? No, I can't. Okay. What is that? Let's go here. Flashlight on. Let's enter, but I believe that the bacteria morph represents just a human. It looks very distorted, and I don't know, but we do not know whether or not the backrooms recreate things then makes things look more distorted every single time it remembers, or if it every single time it remembers, the better it becomes. Or maybe it's just that every single time you remember something, the worse it gets. Because the backrooms does need material for it to remember something. And maybe as long as that material exists, it remembers well. But when it disappears, every single time it tries to recreate something, it's just gonna have to rely on what it remembered from that. The reason why Captain Clark's is still alive, although it's very distorted, is very, very like it's like a personification of his emotions, is probably because he stayed in the back room for so long. The hell is that? Is that a pillar? If there's a creature there. Whoa. I'm gonna stay away from you. I wanna go back to that bomb. There's still a lot to infer from it. But, maybe the bacteria is just the first thought of what a human could be. And there could be a reason on why it's commonly seen in the Backroom series of King Pixels. Yes, it could be the simple description of a human. Maybe it's not... What is this? I can't go through it, but it could be the simple description of a human. Maybe it is not always created. Perhaps it's just the initial creation of what a human could be. It could be a description which goes like this. It has 4 limbs arranged in a way. I don't know how to describe how those limbs are arranged. It could be made of cells, which is why it's just a big lump of bacteria. It replicates itself, it reproduces, but it's not really described in how it does so. So maybe it's like it replicates or procreates, or at least duplicates itself with existing material. Like what we saw with that bacteria from found footage 2. Maybe that dead driver became a bacteria. The bacteria was at least born. Maybe that could be the maybe the backrooms. Maybe I forgot. Maybe the backrooms does still create bacteria. Maybe it never forgot. Maybe it never forgets memories, but it does lose detail from it, and it tries to create that memory time and time again. And maybe there's a pattern in how it creates things. We do not know if it follows physics, like whether it follows that idea that there will always be a linear amount of material in the dimension of the backrooms, or whether or not it can destroy and create material in the backrooms. Maybe it does follow physics sometimes. Well, it could create space out of nothing, but there could be some prompts, such as humans, like the bacteria. Maybe it was led to believe that for humans, bacteria, humans were probably, or like the bacteria, it would be created with at least already existing material, living material. Well, in some descriptions, humans could also be. It could also be that the backrooms created humans from um, from already existing material. Maybe some descriptions of humans, maybe it never stated that it could be living or organic material. So maybe sometimes it could just be human made out of carpet. Yes, but you get the gist of it. Humans should come from already existing material. Maybe the backroom sometimes misinterprets that. Maybe it does create humans from non-existing material. Maybe it creates material, but it creates humans from the material surrounding it's the human itself. Maybe humans can be created out of carpet. It could be created out of marble or carpet or wallpaper, concrete surrounding it. Maybe you could just create the outline of a human, given from the description of the first renditions of a human before it started to discover that it's supposed to move. Maybe when it discovered that humans should be living, maybe it started thinking that life itself, maybe the first renditions of humans, living humans, maybe it thought humans were spores when it thought that humans could replicate, which is why when that driver from found footage 2 died, maybe his body was infected by a replication or what the backrooms thought was human. Okay, that tree thing scared me, but you get the gist of it. Maybe it thought that humans were simply spores, or maybe it tried to emulate how humans replicated or reproduced by creating a spore. Of course, that's not how we replicated, reprocate, or what do you call it, but you get the gist of it. That's what the bacteria could be. And or also, that could be what these facades of humans on the ground could be. It could be just that the backrooms trying to emulate how humans come into fruition. Of course, it's very different from reality. If you look closely here, I think one of the... Yeah, it's just a crumpled carpet. I'm getting ahead of myself, but... The backrooms has a lot of writing. It's more than just a huge MRI machine or something that copies. And worse. And every single time I walk around here, there's always something new here, which is why I love this game a lot. Yeah, we have to consider how the backrooms recreates things. Async. Yeah. Let me go up here. Hmm. Okay, there's a stair. There's some stairs up here. There's holes on the wall. Hmm. Oh. That could be the blue city, the analog of the red city in Kane Parsons' backgrounds. Um. Hmm. Oh, I remember this. That's from Found Footage 1. Um, but that also means that there's that weird black thing here. Yeah, I wanna go back down to the first floor. Mhm. Hmm. Okay. What should I talk about now? I find it weird how we always try to come up with reasons why something does something, or why something exists that applies to everything. And when it's hard to understand, we fabricate or come up with concepts to at least support our idea. Humans are very restless. They always believe on something. And when it's hard to conceptualize it, they come up with concepts or things to at least support their idea, which do not exist yet. And at the end, those things exist, which is just magical and amazing. Let's go here. That's not really magical, it's just amazing. Um, I'm back here. Okay. Um, hmm. I also find it fascinating when people are sad. It's a specific thing. Of course, it applies to a lot of other things, such as confused, angry, or I'm gonna give one specific topic, but when people are sad or scared, for example, the thought of death scares them, they always come up with something where they could find solitude in. Such as a loved one. Yes. That's very strange. They. There was this one time where there was a statue of Mother Mary. Everyone was so happy when she started crying, and they drank the tears of her. But it just turned out it was just a leak, a pipe leak. Well, of course, perhaps there were some of them which just ignored the news. And they stuck with the idea of that being real, the miracle being real. Let's go upstairs. I was just trying to figure out, or at least find if there were more to this rooms. I didn't want to go up there. But of course, there could be probably more up there at least. Here we are, let's go upstairs. When someone becomes sad or angry at another person, I believe that most of the time they would probably ignore them. They could be angry for a multitude of reasons, but let's think of one reason, and I'll try to expound on it. Let's think that someone didn't give you what you want. That's something universal. Now let's think of what they'll do. In my experience, I would understand that they would just ignore me. And that's understandable. I would do that too. No, I won't do that. It depends. I'm very, what do you call this? Weak. I always think of how people feel. Of course, there could be exceptions. There could be some times where I'm very angry at them, so I ignore them. There's stairs that lead nowhere. But of course, it's hard to put yourselves in the shoes of another person. It's very hard to do that. And for me, it's better to believe the fact that you can never do that. You should not try to think that you can be in the same place of another person. Otherwise, I'm the same place. Otherwise, I don't know if this is relatable to you guys, but you could have less sympathy for them because you think differently and they think differently too, and that could lead to misinterpretation. So I do not what to do. I don't know what to do after thinking of that. It's hard to think of what you should do after that. But usually, anger is very destructive. You can't think well for others as well. You would have a hard time of thinking how others think or how others think. Which is hard. I do not know what to say after saying that. Another thing is that when someone likes something or states a point, they stay on that point. And they would always defend it. They would fabricate things in order to defend it. Whether or not that material exists or not, they'll always try to find a way to defend it. You can see that online. People would spread misinformation to defend what they like. I love SpaceX. I do. But there are some people who do that. Including that one time where Blue Origin lost a full New Glenn stack and SpaceX fans, they found that loss as a opportunity to revel, to, I'm gonna use a modern slang, to glaze on that, on the fact that the Raptor 3 engine is much more simpler, but you should also consider that there are a lot of factors which may have caused to the explosion of the entire stack. It could be maybe a ground line fault. I didn't check news from New Origin. Maybe they already stated what happened, but it could be related to ground side problems. But you should never, what do you call this? You should never just come to the conclusion that it's just simplicity. Maybe you would say that it's because the new BE4 engine is very complicated in plumbing. Of course, the BE4 engine has a lot of plumbing, but it's because New Glenn is a very old. New Glenn had a very long dev time, and since it didn't have much flights, the team didn't have a lot of data to work with. And in the result, they had to work with a very old legacy design of New Glenn. Of course, they did do some changes, but New Glenn was in development for a very long time. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Sometimes okay, I'm think the lights here are kind of beige tinted, brown tinted. Let me think of another thing to talk about. I never reached this hallway. I'm not in psychology. So just take my words with a grain of salt. There's water. We should walk straight down. The wall looks like it's made out of carpet or fur. Or maybe it could be made out of wood chips. It's coming from there, but I'm compelled to explore this part here. The geometry here is very, very weird. It's as if it's following a floor plan. Humans are very social creatures. And in the result of that, we love to create problems. Not really problems. That would be very mean. More of complex, what do you call this? Concepts. Complex concepts. Even I don't know. I try to. Others try to find out why they are like this. And what I mean by like this, there's a lot of things which could be the analog of like this. Or could be like this. Maybe I'm gay. Or maybe I also like girls. I don't know. There's a pool. That's why. Okay, bye-bye. That water should be still though. It should not make any noise. There we go. But, sometimes our fellow humans would stop us from thinking any further because we would be scared of aggravating them. I do not want to be cancelled. I don't know why I said that, but the carpet here is lighter. The fluorescent lights are different. I'm back where I began. people like to revel on complex thoughts. What motivates them are, let me think. What motivates them are the thoughts that is one of them is that either they love it and they support it, or they could look weak in front of others. I've been there. And it's very sad to lose. And sometimes I would think, what could I have done better if I lose? Such first, make it be a debate. I've never been in a debate before because I'm scared. Yeah. It's I want to be very productive in this summer. I'm making some craft files for my Artemis program series. They're all beautiful. I like to say that. Let's go here. There's a little corridor. It leads nowhere. And there's a hole in the wall. In the back rooms, people think that the dimension itself makes people crazy. But it doesn't. It's the line of offense which make them crazy. In informational video, when Peter Tench skips time and goes forward by a lot, he goes crazy when he discovers that his family thinks that he is dead, and he starts to worry what the company will do with him, because they already told his family that he is dead. And that made him crazy. He started becoming scared. Perhaps he never thought of the concept of time skipping. He was probably just afraid. Maybe he thought that, as he said, Async said that he thought that he was in an alternate or a copied version of Async. Sometimes you should know that he's probably not right. Maybe there could be a accurately copied version of Async with accurate members, but without an outside. Maybe Peter Tench thought that they were not willing to let him go outside because that part of the outside was not copied perfectly at all. But everything else looked accurately. Maybe because the backroom had a lot of material to copy. And in result, maybe it copied a perfect version of the portal. The portal to the complex. And in result of thinking of that, maybe Peter Ten started to go crazy. He definitely did become crazy. I like this staple. Let's bring it. But there you go. Let's see if it comes to me. There's these shadow chairs. And now let's go in. Clark the guy from the Backrooms movie, he started to go crazy, maybe because of how impossible the backrooms looked to him. He became hyper fixated in the thought of the backrooms. And maybe when he became hyperfixated, he started to go haywire because of how the backrooms worked. Of course, he probably might have got some things wrong with the backrooms, but he did get the simple concept of what the backrooms probably is. Of course, it resulted in his sanity, but of course, he can't just he can't just go crazy for nothing because of nothing. We have to think deeper. There's that beautiful city in front of us. Maybe why is everything the volume is louder? I like to say that. And there's the door. If we look in it, it's a very big hallway. We can't open it. There's a brown charging plug. Yep. Maybe Clark gone crazy. Why? Okay. Why is the ambience still here? I think it's gone. Perhaps Captain Clark gone crazy because he never moved on with his old life. And of course, Mary gone crazy. Maybe she didn't. She became crazy. I don't know if she became crazy, but she probably gone mad, or maybe she started. Maybe she got mad at the end, or maybe she looked crazy at the end because she was unable to save. Not only be she was unable to save her client, but maybe also because she now knows the back rooms. Are we stuck here? You can fall down. Is this new? It looks familiar. Do I remember this? I don't know. Let's climb. We're back here. Okay, I might end this stream soon. I'm kind of tired right now. I did wake up very early today. Well, the truth is I didn't wake up at all. I actually stood up. And we're back here. We're back where we started. Okay, thank you guys for watching.